Hi, and welcome to Newsmakers for inside analysis and behind-the-scenes commentary from Santa Barbara's top journalists and local political leaders about the most important news events in our community. I'm your host, Jerry Roberts. Tonight we'll look behind these headlines. It's down to the wire for wannabes in big county and city races for the primary elections. Santa Barbara's favorite greenhouse gas Republican lands a big job at the Environmental Protection Agency. Amid a national epidemic of school shootings, a district task force moves ahead with school safety strategies. And later on, we'll hear about the Independent's Special Hunger Series and the panel's winners and losers predictions for the June 5th balloting. Our panel tonight, political writer and Anna Marie Gott's Thomas Boswell, Josh Molina. Nick Welsh, Santa Barbara's second favorite columnist and executive editor of The Independent, and nonprofit consultant and Maverick School Board member, Laura Capps. Thank you all for coming. Josh, you're covering a lot of races, but I think the most interesting thing that you had this week was the auditor-controller's race, which is usually not a hot contest, but has been enlivened by corruption charges that Jen Christensen has made against Betsy Schaefer, the number 2 person in the office. Are her allegations legitimate?
The best part of that story is I was only the 4th media outlet to write about it. So I had to do some digging to present something.
I'm coming in on it this weekend, Josh. Don't worry, I'll straighten it all out.
I had to find a new angle to present something to the readers. So Jen Christensen is alleging that Betsy Schaefer has some conflict of interest with her county. She was married to the owner of a company that had $1 million worth of contracts with the county. So there was an on and off marriage. They were trying to work it out.
Which gave her 50% stake in the company.
50% of 27%, yes.
Okay.
I know you're a journalist, so we won't get into math here too much.
But 15%.
But it had $1 million worth of contracts that
Yes.
went through the office where she is the second in
On
command.
and off. She worked for the county for some of that time, for a few years here and there. The whole time she's the bookkeeper for the software company, Simpler Systems. And she also was married to part of the owner, so she had a stake in it. They eventually got divorced in 2013. She gave up her shares and she got the house. What Jen Christensen is saying is that this points to a credibility issue, it points to an ethics issue. Do we want somebody like this overseeing money at the county? And are they legitimate? It's up to people to decide. I don't think there's any legal conflict of interest there. There's a perception, and I don't know how much people will care about that in an auditor-controller's race. But Betsy Schaefer, she openly acknowledges everything. She says, yes, everyone at the county knew. They knew this.
Which makes it worse, in my view.
But she says, hey, on the private company side, I never made any
Except the
choice
checks
decisions.
were coming to her house. The checks from the county were being mailed to her house that she got in the door. I don't want to, get too into the details down in the weeds on this, but did either of them ask for an endorsement from you?
Yes.
Did you say yes?
I actually meant to, and I just haven't. That's a horrible answer. But
You meant to.
I didn't get around to it. Oh,
I didn't know you were
God,
going to ask me
you're
this.
homework.
That's going to be a great ad. You run it Wednesday after these go. I'm Laura Capps. I meant to endorse Betsy.
I did
could've
receive
made
a
the
call
difference.
from Betsy, and I just have yet to connect with her.
Oh,
I apologize.
okay. Oh, I thought you meant, okay.
Yes.
You think this is all a bunch of baloney.
I kind of do. It smells funny, it looks funny, but by the time you figure out the movable parts, you've fallen asleep. And
Not the way I explained it, maybe
actually, the way you
wrote it.
explained it, I was going, okay, I know there's fire, there's a lot of smoke. Kelsey Berger wrote about it. I think
Who?
Blanca Garcia wrote about it for us, both of them. You look at it and you look at the dates when she was working for the county, and you kind of look at it sequentially. The contract started before she was working with the county. She comes on, the contract is in place. Her husband does it. But
Isn't there a certain permeability between
Look,
the finances of the county and the finances of her?
It looks way too cozy. But from what I heard is it's a really good system. It works. It delivers the goods it promises. It's a good system. It's not like other sort of deals that Josh has written about where there's a sort of insider stuff, but the goods don't work.
That's why I wasn't first with this one, just so you know. It wasn't that kind of story.
Yeah, and it's sort of like when you listen to Jen Christensen, she's really impressive for like the first 5 minutes, and you're like, wow, this is alarming. And then 7 minutes into it, you're going, okay, what about you?
Yeah.
And by the time you're through listening to her, it's all such an attack on Betsy Schaefer, and it's all so intense, and you're not quite sure if it is as bad as it sounds.
We should say you endorsed Betty.
We did endorse Betsy, and I think
And Laura's going to,
I have to call her now.
we got around
in
to
December.
we didn't get around to the Joe Holland's race, for example, but we did get around to this
How
one.
about the sheriff's race? Did anybody ask you for endorsement in that race?
No.
No? How
No.
about in District 3?
Michael Vidal did through his campaign person.
He had his people call you?
Yes.
That's weak.
But I don't live there. I'm not getting involved. And with Betsy Schaefer, I do want to meet with the person, and we hadn't connected yet. That wasn't a very graceful way to say that, but it's a job I need to learn about and make a good decision. But I know the clock's ticking. But
Yeah.
We called around to different other employers where Betsy worked, and we talked to them, and
Well, no, she's very, I mean,
we
she's
were
very
actually-
straight and very,
A, she's a CPA,
into
and
the
Jen
work.
isn't. B, the other people that she worked for said she was very competent, and they spoke highly of her ethics.
But I will say this, the way you describe Jen and her personality and the way she explains it, a reasonable person would look at all of the ties that she has to both Simpler Systems and the county, and at a minimum say, that's probably not how I would have handled it. I mean, that's not the ideal way probably for Betsy to have handled it, but at the same time, it's not so flagrant where we're going to overlook.
that was very
Right.
diplomatic, Josh.
No, I mean,
You should show that in your class to your students when somebody
I mean, we spent a lot of time.
if you were, a journalist, right, would have to have a higher standard than
It doesn't,
that.
yeah, exactly. It does not pass
And
the
she's a
smell.
government official. So if you're going to, yes, Jen is a little bit overwhelming in all the facts she presents, but I mean, she does have some points. She does have some
she
points.
raises some really good questions. But at the end of it, you go, I would want this person in a cubicle that I would sick on somebody who I thought was up to no good, and she would chew their leg off.
There was, of course, a $2 million embezzlement from the auditor controller's office.
1.7.
So,
1.7.
Oh, yeah,
And that
big-
was over,
big
and
difference.
Jerry,
Big
that was
difference.
over 9 years, among 9 people. I mean, come on.
No, it's
like
okay.
not enough opioids to even get constipated. When you boil it down per person per year, you can't even get a good
All
constipation.
right, big scoop coming up in Newsmakers. Jen has taken her complaints to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they have been
Okay.
referred to the FBI. So we'll find out what happens.
All right.
We'll find out. What
And you know what? Maybe they'll perp walk Betsy Schaefer away as she writes her poetry and cries. I don't know.
All right. Nick, former supervisor, perennial Republican candidate, and your close personal friend, Mike Stoker, was sworn in last week as Westerner Regional Head of the EPA. Is it fair to call this a fox in the henhouse situation?
I'm so sick of the fox in the house. I hope somebody can come up with a better analogy.
Oh, wait a
that-
minute.
that
Oh,
is
let me read.
tired.
Here. Hunger is where rubber meets the road. Now, what does that mean? We'll get to hunger in a minute. Go ahead. Don't get on me about cliches, pal.
No, that was a pretty bad one. No,
All right,
I
so
mean,
what do we think about Stoker in the EPA? Seriously,
here's the good
isn't this
news.
horrible?
Here's the good news about Stoker. I'm just going to be Mr. Pollyanna today. I'm going to put a sweet face on everything.
Good.
Mike Stoker will return our phone calls. You might not like what you hear. You might be horrified by what you hear.
Which
but
is
at
more
least,
than you can say for Warren.
well, it's more than what you can say for the school district. But we'd like to talk to you about. Mike will talk your ear off. Yeah, I mean, Mike is clearly in sync Mike Stoker, for people who don't know him, was a county supervisor in the late 80s and the 90s, and he sort of helped fabricate a very pro-growth majority on the Board of Supervisors. He was very effective for a while at doing that and attacking the bureaucracies that were considered regulatorily onerous to those in the ag and business communities and the oil communities. And we, for example, had a APCD, Air Pollution Control District, which was really a pathfinding agency for a while, and it passed all kinds of laws. It got laws passed in Congress that gave Santa Barbara County extraordinary regulatory efforts over offshore oil. Mike helped lead the charge to essentially chemically castrate those agencies.
Right.
And
So isn't this horrible from an environmental perspective from a CDC? Isn't it awful that we have Mike Stoker as the
Everything about the administration is horrible from an environmental perspective. So, I mean, it's Scott Pruitt. Who are we going to get to represent? I mean, I sort of, I'm glad that Linda Kropp and everyone has put forward his record again so that it's in the public domain and that we got statewide papers writing about it because it is his record. But I mean, in addition to calling you back, I mean, I do think that there is potentially some benefit that a hometown person is doing this job. I mean, that's just to be charitable. I more think, why would anyone?
Because there's personal relationships here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's knowledge and there's personal relationships and there's an ability to get, I mean, he is responsive. He's,
well, your mom, as a matter of fact, so when he applied for a federal mediation board, he was endorsed. There's letters of recommendation by your mom, Salud Carbajal,
Pedro.
Pedro Nava. I mean, that's
And Das Williams.
And Das Williams.
I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the Independent, though, was it?
It couldn't have been your paper. It must have been under the fox in the hen house. But I mean, so there is you can call them up and talk. So what will that matter? Well, we have Casmelia toxic dump festering away up in North County. It's a Superfund site, and the EPA has made that an issue under Pruitt, and who knows, maybe Stoker will do some good. I mean, Stoker, as always, the good thing about Stoker is like Pruitt, he's afraid to talk to anybody, right? He has to have like 15 security guys because somebody might call him a name. Stoker is so thick-skinned and so resilient and so used to people calling him names, it doesn't bother him. He is a former debate champion. He can bring it on. He's not afraid, and he'll argue back. So he's comfortable in a way that a lot of these guys from the Trump administration aren't. So maybe there'll be some practical deals to be made where, oh, okay, we can do something. The reality is Stoker's not going to be calling the shots on whether or not clean air standards apply for California, or tailpipe emission standards are going to be relaxed in California or not, or the extent to which the federal government's going to go to war with us. He's just going to be the errand boy on those. But I think on some of the other stuff, having that relationship will be of some benefit to Santa Barbara County.
Yeah, he'll be the implementer. And my question is, why would he want it? I mean, I don't know why a Republican would want to work in this administration.
And that was entirely opposite of what you wrote about him in your Poodle column.
It's not what it is. No, it's not. It's
Before we end with Mike, so the LA Times reports that Dale Francisco was a newsmaker regular, was writing, we can ask him next week about it, writing letters to members of the Senate committee trying to torpedo Mike's thing. What's that about?
I don't know. I mean, Dale's a Republican. He used to be a Democrat. He used to give money to, no offense, Lois Capps, not, your mom over here. But
He did?
oh yeah, he donated to her back in the day. Years ago, a different
Before
version
Tom
of him.
Watson.
So Dale's a very sensible Republican. I'm sure that's offensive to some Republicans, but he's somebody who feels.
So you're saying that Mike is not a sensible Republican?
What Dale was saying is Mike Stoker has never run a bureaucracy of 700 people. He has no administrative chops to talk about. To put him in charge of that is, like giving a blind
But
person.
didn't Dale and Mike come to blows over this whole thing when Dale was the head of the county committee and his?
They didn't come to blows. That was somebody else, but Mike was involved in that, and there
it was Gandrud, but Mike was representing Gandrud, right?
there was a dispute about Dale Francisco's partner, who was running the Republican committee for a while. And she was a paid staff member, and there was a big dispute amongst the Republicans about what kind of a job she was doing. I think she got fired.
Can we go back to the auditor controllers?
No,
this is too in the weeds for me.
Newsmakers, no political gossip, too small for us.
We're too old.
I know, really. That one's got mold on it. I know.
All right. At least I didn't ask you what was in Doss's mind when he wrote a letter on behalf of
But
Mike.
no, to answer your question about Stoker, I mean, I talked to Bill Wall.
You've answered it.
No,
It's okay.
No, I mean, I talked to the supervisors who we worked with, the environmental
Yeah.
supervisors, and they said, no, I mean, Mike was horrible in terms of his votes, but he was a congenial guy. You could talk to him. He said, you pick your poison.
Okay. And I noticed that the words Greca oil have not come up yet either. But
Well, I can talk
yeah,
about
I know
that.
you. I know.
I have inside information.
Don't miss it this week. Nick's on it. All right, Laura, you've been leading the charge for updated safety protocols in the schools. What's going on with the task force that the superintendent appointed to deal with this?
A lot. We had a great first meeting and a task force, and we hired a school safety coordinator the first time, which is a really important position. And a lot of parents went to this convening, and there's different subgroups that are meeting. And the point is, I mean, it's all on mental health, it's on technology and social media, it's on school safety protocols, but also law enforcement and how the community fits into all of this. And there's just a huge emphasis and a prioritization on it, which is what I was hoping for, and it's nice to see it in action.
Is
So
anybody
what is that?
is anybody calling to arm teachers?
No, no.
But so what does that mean, like when you talk about like mental health, and how are kids going to these schools who being trained to be alert but not freaked out?
It's a challenge. I mean, I'm not a mental health expert, but the point is that none of these pieces are sort of in silos, and I think a lot of times you sort of put forward, I objected to these plans that seem to be, they're dictated by the state and they're due every year, and they've had a sort of cut and paste feel to them, and that's what I objected to and sort of raised the flag. Meanwhile, this task force was just getting going. But it's really just kind of pulling all the pieces together and putting the same people in the room, and we have this amazing expert, probably the school
what's his
safety,
name?
Shane Jimerson. He's a professor
At UCSB.
of education at UCSB, and so he's been front and center on this task force, sort of making the point that it's not just sort of what they call the hard reaction, which is let's arm teachers, let's get sheriffs in there, but it's also the soft, it's the social and emotional health and well-being of our students, and trying to figure out, let's not freak them out, but let's have a place where people can talk.
So does this include protocols for what you're supposed to do in case of a mass shooting? Is that a district-wide thing? Does every school have a different
so those
one?
protocols, those protocols are part of this school safety realm of this, is to making sure that that all those protocols are really understood by changing staff. And Dr. Jimerson's point was those protocols, all of this needs to be re-examined every 2 years, because safety threats are changing and protocols, and we're learning new information. So this is an ongoing effort. You have some naysayers that say, you can't stop any of these things from happening, but I believe that you try to do as much as you can, and pulling people together like this first workshop did, I think, is really important.
Has this kind of approach worked anywhere? Are there any best? I mean,
It's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know what works. I mean, in terms of
the absence of a mass
the
shooting.
absence of a mass shooter. I mean, I can say that but it's. I mean, the point is, you can't. In my view, you can't not do these things, and we need to make it a priority, and that's what this task force is doing.
All right. Now you had positive things to say about the Independent's hunger cover story, did you not?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough subject. The fact that we have.
Well, it is pretty pathetic. What are the stats? How many hungry people?
But what we found out was that Santa Barbara County has the highest child poverty rate in the state.
Yep.
And that's sort of an alarming number. And I think the other number that was that jumped out and bit me was that there's been a 30% increase in the number of students deemed homeless, which is a little bit different definition than the typical one that you picture. From last year, from 2017 to now, that's a pretty big jump. And I think there's been a 35% increase in the number of food stamps that have been issued in Santa Barbara County in the last couple of years. So those are all sort of alarming statistics.
And what is the district doing about it?
Well, what I'm proud about is I think the way that we feed kids in our school district is one of the best things about our school district. I mean, it really is. And what I like about Nick's piece in the Indy this week is that it focuses
Plenty of free parking.
It focuses on the fact that schools are really a central part to the answer. I mean, some kids get 3 meals a day and snacks at school, and it's something that maybe if you're not engaged in schools on a regular basis, you wouldn't realize. But the food is, I mean, it also shows you, newsflash, there's a lot of bureaucrats that work in schools, but Nancy Weiss is the opposite. She's a champion who figures out, okay, yeah, I only have this much budget, but I'm going to give organic, I'm going to give bean-based proteins. I'm going to just try
Beet salad. What is it? Beet burgers or something?
Beet
What?
pancakes.
Yeah,
Beet
so it's not only,
pancakes?
it's not just, yeah, I mean, but it's,
That's a
so
scandal.
I think what we're doing at the school district is astounding, and it's completely needed. I mean, half of our kids rely on this food.
The only place in town where you can have food trucks is with the school district.
Oh, really?
And what's really, I mean, I don't know if I'm sure you've eaten it. I mean, for $4, you get a really decent piece of chicken, some fruit, and some milk. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah, so adults
it's like
can pay.
really the best deal in town.
It is the best deal.
Josh, have you ever had a beet pancake?
Have you?
Jerry,
And I never intend to.
Jerry, I think your Serbian roots are you're in denial.
I'm going to bring in meatless burritos next
Just
meeting.
don't bring
next
beet
time.
pancakes.
Yeah, they're really
All
good.
right, real quick on the elections. Who's going to win in District 3?
It's going to be a close race. Probably Michael Vidal is going to win,
Duh.
I would say, just because
You guys
he's
are
working pretty
snipping your
hard.
own glue. You guys are snipping your own glue. I know everybody says Michael Vidal just because he works harder. All right, he's working harder
Who
than
do you
ever.
think is going to win?
Okay, first of all, there's two that are going to win before Michael Vidal. One, this is the outside shot. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to give you a chainsaw. I'm going to predict Elizabeth Hunter. Because what's going to happen...
You're making Josh smile.
Yeah, because...
First of all, you'd be stealing my prediction, my off-the-record prediction.
But you can go, you can do off the record all you want.
Did reporters go off the record?
I mean, because...
With
all
each other.
What do we know? Of the people who voted already, the Democratic majority is, it was like 75 Republicans who cast ballots and about 400 Democrats.
Right.
More women, more white people have voted in this. I think the fact that Elizabeth Hunter is a woman, the fact that you have 3 Latinos.
All right, you got Elizabeth Hunter, you got Vidal. What
Why
do you
didn't you
say?
endorse her then?
What do you say?
Oscar.
Oscar?
Yeah.
She
Wait,
has
just
to say
because your
Oscar.
son's name.
Yeah, it's a great name. No, I'm hearing great things about his growth on the trail, and I think the more you say that he's going to be a puppet for Kathy,
I've never.
means that he won't be. I mean,
I
you
just
know,
said that.
Comes full circle.
I've
Comes full circle,
heard that.
yes.
People have said
And
that.
actually, he's working harder than people.
I like
he's
Oscar.
walking. He's walking. You can't go.
and you got the firefighters. I mean,
All right,
it's
the
good.
correct answer is Oscar. Okay,
Okay.
Sheriff.
Did you pick Jim Scafidi too?
No, I did not pick Jim.
Are you
Stevens.
sure? We're
No,
gonna
I
have to-
picked
let's-
Kristen. I
No,
picked Kristen.
Don't jump
Oh,
on the
I was.
bandwagon.
Hey,
Man.
I started. I was the first one.
I was
to-
the first media
No,
person
I
to
was.
interview
all right,
Kristen.
What about for sheriff? I was the first one
Bill
to call her
Brown?
a
Bill,
star.
Bill Brown.
Come on, Bill Brown's got Kamala Harris, and he's
Bill Brown.
Yeah.
But 50% plus one, no runoff.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. No runoff.
Runoff, no runoff. What do you think?
I think runoff, but I don't know.
You say runoff, no runoff. Auditor, controller.
I don't know. I don't want to compromise my objectivity.
But you've already written the piece. What difference does it make? You're not going to write about it again, are you?
I would say that, what is it, conventional thinking would say Betsy Schaefer was going to win that because she's widely endorsed by the Democratic Party.
So that would be you, then, the conventional thinking. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think she's going to have way more endorsements and more people voting for her up and down the
But
ticket.
will she have more votes, Josh, I think is the question
Yeah,
I'm trying
yeah,
to get at.
probably. It'll be close, though. It'll be close. Jan Christian has more name recognition. She's ran for other stuff.
She's run before, and it's a low turnout election. It's going to give Republicans somewhat of an edge, and Jen is sort of the Republican in this race.
Sorry, she's declined to stay. I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
she is backed by the
She's a
Republican
Republican.
interest.
Yeah, she's
And
basically a Republican.
she's a Republican in name only, or not name only.
She's a declined a state in name only.
You know, I just think that even
Quickly,
she, I don't know how to
collect
call
your
it.
thoughts. What do you think? I mean, assuming you call Betsy eventually before
right
Tuesday.
now.
What do you think is going to win that?
I think if she's got the Indy endorsement, I think she'll win.
The correct answer is Jen Christensen. And then in the statewide offices, you endorsed Gavin Newsom. He's going to win.
Yeah.
And I think that won't be two Democrats. Joyce Dudley endorsed Antonio Villaraigosa, but
I saw that.
I don't think it's going to be enough. What do you think?
Let's just say at that endorsement event, Villaraigosa shows up. He's got a PA system. He's got a mic. There's no electricity. There's nothing that connects the microphone to the PA system. It's a complete prop. And that sort of is a metaphor for his campaign.
Ooh.
How's that?
That's good.
Thought you were going to be nice today.
The anecdotal.
You had to get it in.
I tried.
Josh,
I tried.
tell us how the things are going to come out on Prop 71.
It's going to pass.
No, isn't that, wait, it's no on 71. Didn't you go no on 71? You wrote it.
I wrote the goddamn thing.
I
The
didn't know.
71,
There's
the
five
cap and
props,
trade
there's
one?
mystery props, yeah.
The cap and trade vote no on that, even though Jerry Brown supports it.
It has about as much chance of passing as the Giants do winning the World Series.
Easy.
Oh, man.
Easy. Yeah, with the Dodgers.
Better than the Dodgers.
You don't want to bring up the Dodgers, I don't think, today. All right. Well,
It's
we've written all these predictions
Sure.
down, and we'll forget about them.
No, I'm making a bunch of bets. I'm gonna
Did
lose them
I
all.
leave anything out, Sheriff, Auditor, Controller, District 3? Is there
You
anything
left
else?
out Michael Aaron Whitty and Justin Fareed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fareed or Woody?
I was kind of impressed with Woody. I hadn't seen him before.
I think that Woody is a put-up job by Salud Carbajal. It's going to come out after the election that Salud is paying his under the table to be the spoiler in this.
That would be wrong, that's for sure.
That stuff doesn't usually happen anymore.
Justin Salud rematch?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thanks to tonight's panel, Laura Capps, Nick Welsh, and Josh Molina. Thank you for watching. Please visit our website, newsmakerswithjr.com, to check out my blog posts on politics and media in Santa Barbara and beyond, and our YouTube channel, where you'll find an archive of our past shows and special interviews. Thanks again to our director, JP Montalvo, to our crew, Ken, Lauren, Suzanne, and Catherine, and as always, our top-ranking, high-powered, high-energy senior executive producer, Hap Freund. Next time, we'll be analyzing the election results and see how the predictions came out. Don't forget to vote. We'll see you next time on Newsmakers.